Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Big Time Fantasy Football. You're here with your host, Nick, and joining me is your other host, Zach. You want to let them know what we're getting into today?
Yes, sir. Today we are doing our top 24 in two parts. So we'll do the first 12 today. Top 24 wide receivers for the 2024 season. Still don't have our rookies. We're still waiting on the other stuff to come out to get all our rookies in. This list, if you've seen our other videos, we come to a consensus and do our rankings together. This one we had the kind of the most disagreement on, so it took a lot to get the list together. But I think we did pretty good in the end here.
Definitely. Definitely. Let me pull
Yeah,
up our
so I think you
tiers
got the
here.
first one. So if we want to get right into it, why not?
Yep. Yep. All right, so let's get right into it. Number one, and still number one. He's been up there for years. Justin Jefferson. Definitely a disappointing season this year. He got hurt in week 5 and missed 7 games with a hamstring injury, and he still managed to get over 1,000 yards. Just 25 years old. He ended up 28th overall in wide receivers overall, but he was fourth in points per game. Dude's just a beast. Really good at the catch point, and yeah, there's not much else to say. He's been up here for a long time. I think we're gonna keep him there.
For sure. Uh, Nothing really else to add. He's the number one guy for sure. So next we got CeeDee Lamb here. He since Dak came into the league, the Cowboys have been a top passing offense every single year that he's healthy. So and CeeDee's obviously by far and away his number one guy. So obviously he's going to get a lot of those touches. After their bye week in his last 11 games, he got 13 plus every time, every single game out, and 7 of those games he got 20 plus. So he's had crazy high ceiling and even a high floor at the end of the season there too. So he's still 24 years old. He's younger than you'd think. It feels like he's been around for a while, but still a young guy that's balling out. So
Absolutely, definitely another guy you want to feed. Um, and let's jump right into the next guy, Jamar Chase. In past years, he's been number 2 right behind Justin Jefferson. A little bit of a hot take here. We're putting CD over him. He just had a disappointing season again. Joe Burrow couldn't really stay healthy. That's been his issue the past few years. He was wide receiver 14 overall and 14 in points per game. Definitely disappointing from where he's been drafted in the past. But he was wide receiver 5 his rookie year. So he's shown us he can do it at an elite level. Definitely an elite down the field threat. And yeah, we want to drop him down, but you can't drop him too far past number 3, in my opinion.
for sure, for sure. And I just want to get out there that even though I have the Cowboys jersey up, Nick was the one that put CD over Jamar, and I
Yeah.
just didn't fight back on it. So just gonna throw that
Hey,
one out there. But
gotta
yeah, no,
respect the
good stuff there.
greatness.
Next we got Amon St. Brown leading the next tier. Yeah, absolute baller. Took him almost no time at all to become the number one receiver in his offense as soon as he, got to the Lions. And their offense has just been on a trajectory up. So his value is increasing with that. He's held his number one spot. He's still only 24 years old. I believe he was the wide receiver 3 this last year. And he only had one game under 10 points and 5 over 20 last game. So high floor, high ceiling, what you're looking for, a young guy. He's going to be around for a while. So great guy to
Yeah,
have.
absolutely. And even with all the weapons there in Detroit, he had third most receiving first downs in the entire league. So he's definitely their go-to guy when it matters most.
High volume guy too. So we're obviously doing half PPR, but still you're getting half point every catch. So
And I
and
believe
then
this is
next we got Puka. He as a rookie, he broke basically every record that you can, for as far as rookies go. And he's not one of those older rookies. He's 22 years old only still, so I don't think really you have to defend this pick too much. He's just a baller.
absolutely came out of the scene right away. Stepped in, kind of is kicking Cooper Cup out of the offense right now. We'll see if
Basically.
that trend continues. So next guy we got, another young stud, Garrett Wilson. He'll be turning 24 in the beginning of the season. He was number 29 overall wide receiver this year. Definitely a down year with that terrible Jets offense, terrible quarterback play. Really hurt that Rodgers went down early for him. But Rodgers should be back. Offense should be better. Garrett Wilson actually only caught. It was very disappointing. He had 95 receptions and he was given 168 targets. So that's just 56% of his targets were caught, and it definitely wasn't drops. I mean, when it comes near him, he catches the ball. He's a great athlete, great talent, and yeah, fourth most targets by a wide receiver. So there's not much competition there in New York. And next, we're dropping down a tier, and we went with AJ Brown. He was wide receiver 6 overall this year. He's going to be 27 this season, and he was wide receiver 5 last year. So definitely in that upper end of wide receivers. He's just super talented, big frame. We need to see the consistency out of him. First half of the year, first 9 games, he was averaging 18.8, looking like it was going to be a great year for him. And then the second half of the year, completely different story. He was only averaging 8 points, which is a 10-point drop off. If he can stay consistent, I know it's a little bit tougher there when the offense isn't doing great. He also has a couple other receiving weapons there with Devonte Smith, Dallas Goedert. We'll see how he comes back next year. But a lot of potential with AJ Brown. He's definitely a superstar player, so got to get him the ball.
Absolutely. For sure, no doubt. So going to the next guy here, we got Jaylen Waddle. Jaylen Waddle, still a young receiver. He plays in one of those offenses that you want a piece of, being the Dolphins. And he is on his last year of his official contract, but they have the 5th-year option, and I see no reason they wouldn't pick that up and keep him. And then by that time, Hill's going to be older, maybe on his way out. So then I don't see any reason for them not to sign Waddle long term. Obviously, that's speculation, but I mean, it just kind of makes sense. But as long as he is a piece of that offense for a while, and anywhere he could have success, but especially in that offense, he's a great receiver to have, as a part of that offense.
Yeah, I agree. And last year we saw he could do it even with Tyreek there. We'll see how long Tyreek's there, but even with Tyreek in that offense, led by Mike McDaniel, he's shown that he improved that he can do it.
Absolutely.
And I think next we're going with his running mate, Tyreek Hill, absolute stud. No one can catch him in the league. He will be 30 in March, so coming up here pretty soon. But led the league in yards, tied for first in touchdowns, like receiving touchdowns, an absolute stud. He was wide receiver 2 overall, but number 1 in points per game. And if we go back to last year, his first year with the Dolphins, he was wide receiver 3 overall. So he's been atop the league for most of his career, starting with Patrick Mahomes. Now he's doing it in Miami. I don't see that changing, at least for the next couple years. And the only hesitation with Tyreek, there's rumors that he might retire in a couple years. I think he put out that he wants to retire after 10 seasons, which would put him at the end of 2025. So as long as he can still produce within the next couple years as a contender, give me Tyreek. I'll take it all day.
Only thing you worry about a guy like him is he wins with speed, and he's older now, but I mean, he doesn't look like he's lost a step yet, and I think he's an underrated route runner as well. Obviously, he uses his speed for his routes, but I think he's good outside of that, so should be around for a while unless he decides he wants to retire on his own.
Definitely.
And then here we have we got Brandon Aiyuk. From everything I'm hearing, he's on the move. He's out of San Francisco, which kind of for me made him hard to rank because he's playing with a great offense now, but that has a lot of pieces. So he could go to another offense that needs a wide receiver one that's good, or he could go to a terrible offense in Carolina and be stuck as a one wide receiver one on a bad offense. But either way, I think the talent's there. He's still 25 years old. He's proven that even with pieces around him or without pieces around him, he can go out and ball out. So I like him.
Yeah, definitely an excellent receiver. Great talent. Still young. We'll see if he moves. Hopefully it's to a good place. But next we're going with Devonte Smith. He is also in that good Eagles offense. We saw him dip in the second half of the year just like A.J. Brown. Definitely not as drastic as A.J. Brown. But he had that dip. He was over 1,000 yards still, 7 touchdowns on the year. He's a great talent. Definitely one of the best wide receiver twos in the league, I would say. And he ended up at wide receiver 19 overall. But last year he was wide receiver 9. So we've seen that the Eagles can support 2 number 1 wide receivers in fantasy. Hopefully Jalen Hurts steps it up this next year, and he can do that again with both these guys. All right, so next, guys, we're going with Michael Pittman Jr., another excellent young talent. He had 1,100 yards, over 1,100 yards this year, only 4 touchdowns. I see that improving a lot when Anthony Richardson comes back. The offense is going to be in the red zone more, should have more opportunities. In the 2 full games that Anthony Richardson was playing this year, Michael Pittman had over 10 points in both games, almost had a 20 ball in one of those. He did have a 29% target share in the offense this year. That was with Gardner Minshew, but it shows that there's really not too much receiving talent around him. And he was 4th in receptions, so definitely that possession go-to guy for their offense. But yeah, I think that should do it for this one.
Yep, that's our top 12 of our next 12 coming out on Saturday. But thanks for tuning in. If you stuck around this long, be sure to drop a like. If you subscribe, helps out. We're a new channel. But thank you guys. Have a good one.
Stay tuned.